Ivy and Bean, Book 1, Chapter 4. Your job is to check for understanding. So during this chapter, you will be thinking about number 1, who is this chapter about? And number 2, what is this chapter about? What happens? Here we go. Chapter 4, Bean meets Ivy. Bean peeked out between the leaves. Nancy hadn't even seen the $20 bill. She was standing on it. Thought Bean. Her plan was a bust. But if she kept on being a ghost, maybe she could even scare Nancy a little. I'm going to wrap my fingers around your neck too, she howled in her spooky voice. And I'm going to spit in your ear. No, you're not, said Nancy. She didn't even sound scared. She reached into the bush and she yanked Bean out. Stop yelling. And that's when she saw the $20 bill. Hey, she said, where did you get the money? You don't have $20. And then she saw the string. I see what you're doing, burp face. I bet this is my money too. And then she picked up the bill and looked at it. You stole my money. I'm telling Mom. She began to pull Bean toward the front door. Uh-oh, thought Bean. None of her ideas were working out today. Now she had two choices. She could go inside with Nancy and face Mom, or she could run. So Bean fell over on the ground and started to wail. Oh, my ankle, owie, ow. My ankle's killing me. It's sprained. And she held her ankle. Nancy frowned. You didn't sprain your ankle, you faker, she said as she bent down to look at it. That was all Bean needed. She stood up and ran. She ran out of her yard and around Pancake Court until she found herself in front of Ivy's house. Oh, you are in trouble now, Bernice Blue, yelled Nancy. I'm going to tell Mom. Bernice was Bean's real name. People used it only when they were yelling at her. Bean couldn't help it. She just had to stick her tongue out and say, and then she had to turn around and wiggle her behind at Nancy. That's it, Nancy yelled. I'm getting Mom. And she stormed into the house. For a minute, Bean felt happy. She loved making Nancy mad. But when Nancy was gone, Bean began to start to worry. Mom hated it when she did more than one bad thing at a time. And Bean counted, taking the money, lying about her ankle, leaving the yard without asking, and wiggling her behind at Nancy. That was 4 things. Well, actually 5 if you counted pretending to be a ghost. Bean was going to be in big trouble. How big? No dessert, for sure big. No videos for a week, maybe. But it could be worse. Her mom might send her to her room for the rest of the day, and Bean hated that. Hide! Bean looked up. She had forgotten all about Ivy. Ivy was still sitting on her front porch. She had been watching this whole time, and she knew that the ghost of Mr. Killip was really Bean inside the bush, too. Bean expected her to be mad, but she didn't look mad. She looked excited. Hide, she said again. Thought Bean. Maybe boring Ivy was right. If her mom couldn't find her, she couldn't send her to her room. And if she stayed out until dark, her parents would stop being mad. And then they would start being worried. And her mom might even say, oh, my poor little Bean, my poor little baby. And then they'd be so happy to see her when she came limping home that they probably wouldn't even punish her at all. And they might even let her have seconds on dessert. That settled it. Okay, she said to Ivy. Where? Follow me. Ivy came down the stairs and slipped behind a bush growing against her house. Bean followed her and crouched down under the wide leaves. No, get up. This is just the beginning, said Ivy. I'm going to take you to a secret spot. This isn't it, said Bean. The bush looked pretty good to her so far. No, this is the passageway. Ivy pressed her back against the house and edged along, and Bean edged along too, and the wall was kind of scraping her back. They turned a corner and edged some more. Ivy's house was big. Halt, said Ivy. Bean halted. Now, close your eyes, and I'll take you to the secret spot. What? How come I have to close my eyes? Because it's a secret, said Ivy. Duh. Well, Bean couldn't argue with that. Ivy looked like a wimp, but she sure didn't talk like one. So Bean closed her eyes, and she felt Ivy take her by the elbow, and together they went down some steps. And then a door opened, and then some more steps, and then cool, damp air blew in Bean's face. And then they went up some steps, and then another door opened. They were outside again. Ivy was taking Bean through some tall grass. Shh, said Ivy suddenly, so Bean froze. Crouch down, said Ivy, so Bean crouched, and there was a silence. Okay, you can get up now. What happened? Asked Bean. Spies, said Ivy. Bean figured Ivy was probably making that part up. Now you can open your eyes, Ivy said. All right, boys and girls, now remember, your job is to think about who was in this chapter and what happened in this chapter. You can go ahead and do your assignment. Good job, everybody.